Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where Steve here brings up a subject. I listen intently to what he has to say and will respond to it. So, what have you got now, Steve?
Hi, people. In this podcast, um, once again, through my time spent this week on Facebook. Sometimes I do this, I go onto Facebook and be really intense, and sometimes I write an article on Facebook, and sometimes, but most of the time I don't really go on Facebook. It's one of these things. It's a little bit like MySpace.
Yeah,
It's sort of petering out, and you're finding more adverts than you are people.
yeah,
But I digress. About this isn't about Facebook. This is about a friend. I use that term.
mm,
Um, actually, this friend, he's. I was really surprised because he remembers when I first met him,
mm,
and I'd forgotten all about it until he reminded me. And I was about 15 years old when we first met, and we were in a camping site,
mm,
and he stopped with his motor. He came along on his motorcycle. He
mm,
stopped on his motorcycle, got off his motorcycle, put the rest stand down on his motorcycle, but he was on some soft ground, and his motorcycle fell over.
right,
And as I was nearby, I helped him
mm,
upright them because it's a big motorcycle.
mm,
He was one of these people who had these big motorcycles,
yeah,
prestigious
yeah,
motorcycles.
yeah,
And I'd forgotten all about that,
mm,
until around about, I suppose, 8 years ago, 9 years ago,
mm,
might be. And there was one of these questions on Facebook of where do you remember your friends from?
mm,
Or do you remember when you first met when you first met your friends? And he said he remembered me from our first meeting on the campsite. I've forgotten all about that.
mm,
It just shows you, that if you help somebody out,
mm,
they remember it
yeah,
a lot more than you do,
yeah,
and they remember it for a very very long time. So
yeah,
much so. I mean, I'm 62 now,
mm,
and he's got to be around about 70,
yeah,
60,
well,
60.
yeah,
But anyway, I digress.
mm,
He made the mistake of making a comment on Facebook
mm,
about Kevin. His name is, by the way. Just
mm,
I'm not
yeah,
going to give
yeah,
his full name.
no, no,
He
Kevin's
made the
good.
mistake. He made the mistake of calling out the Conservative Party
Right?
because they were caught up in this cash for peerages
Mm,
scandal, right?
really?
Right. So you know how much consideration I have for politicians in general.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
they've all got a snout and they're all in the trough, getting what
Oh
they
dear.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I decided to say to my friend, I said, look, it's the same on both sides. I just left it at
Mm,
that. It's the same on
yeah,
both sides. And
yeah.
he said, no, no. He said the Labour Party, their peerages suggestions, because
Mm,
the opposition has a choice as well.
yeah, yeah.
And they haven't been receiving contributions to the party.
Whoops. Yeah.
And I said, Kevin, I said, you're looking in the wrong direction again.
Mm,
And so I did a quick recce, and
mm,
all it needed was a quick recce
mm,
to find out, to prove that
yeah.
this is long standing for a long, long time.
Mm,
And so the earliest news report I got from this, without delving too deep,
yeah.
it's only like a 10-minute search. It's
Mm,
not difficult to find. I found that David Lloyd George, who was prime minister he
mm,
was a Liberal Party.
yeah.
He was prime minister from 1916 to 1922,
Yeah.
and he used to sell peerages uh,
Mm,
when it was still legal to do so.
mm,
and he charged £10,000 for a knighthood,
Mm.
£30,000 to become a baron,
Yeah.
and £50,000 upwards for a peerage.
Right.
Now, when that hit the fan,
Yeah.
they changed the law that you're not allowed to sell peerages,
Yeah.
right? So then we fast forward to 1976
Mm.
and the Harold Wilson.
All
Now,
right.
now I always respected Harold Wilson. I thought he was a
Mm.
good prime minister. You
Mm.
know, he's
Yeah.
Labour prime minister.
Mm.
Inflation in the UK was quite high,
Mm.
but he had a thing which was called the lavender list, because it's called the lavender list because his secretary, she
Mm.
wrote on lavender notepaper,
Okay.
and his list for peerages, he, remembering that the
Mm.
fact that we can't see it
Mm.
doesn't mean to say that it didn't happen,
No. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
right? The fact that we
Yeah.
don't know about it doesn't mean to say that it didn't happen.
Mm.
But anyway, he had this lavender list, and it was full of mobsters, you know, in
Yeah. Well.
the in the early 70s, late
Yeah.
60s, when the Spray Twins were still floating around.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
In,
imagine that.
in,
Yeah.
in London, when Soho really was Soho, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and some of his selections were not approved because they
No.
were deemed as anti-ethical people,
Mm.
and some shortly afterwards were arrested for fraud and for
Yeah.
embezzlement and like this, you know. And people were scratching their heads about why Harold Wilson. I don't know
Mm.
if he was threatened by these people, or if perhaps they did something for him and his family, like,
Yeah.
jobs and things like that.
Sweep,
Um,
sweeping the
things
drive and yeah.
yeah, things that we don't know about. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not being sarcastic. Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Right. So even round about, I don't know if it was around about that time or a little bit more recently, Prince
Yeah.
Charles at that time, even he was at it, selling peerages, in his charity, through his charity. He had a
Yeah.
charity. Yeah. Even, it's a right royal rumble when you are selling peerages.
Speaking of which, we
Of
might just be
course,
ending up on Rumble. Yeah. Yeah.
the police, yeah, the police, the police stopped their investigations. They said they
Yeah.
couldn't find anything, which, of course, if you've got
Yeah.
your eyes closed, you never will be. We will be able to.
Blind man's bluff. Yeah. I
So,
know. Yeah.
yeah, so we go to 2006, and the Labour Party,
Mm.
they were found to be offering peerages for people who made loans
Mm.
between loans
Yeah.
to the Labour Party for their
Mm.
for their campaign.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, and also it was around about that time, I think it was 2007, 2008, around about that time, when that big expenses scandal broke, because
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
that
remember.
that was
Yeah.
that was under Blair's watch as well, where people were claiming expenses for second homes, which you
Yeah.
could only do if you were living in the second home. But people
Yeah.
were wandering off, going back to the constituency and still claiming for them, and buying them. I think there's
What?
a lady, an MP these days.
Yeah.
She's got a second home by the River Thames. I can't
Yeah.
remember her name. I can't remember, but it's recently. It's recently this year,
Yeah.
where she claims expenses for this home that she never uses. But I
Okay.
digress about that.
Yeah.
So the Labour Party had their fingers in the till,
Yeah.
2006. Everybody had their fingers in the till in
Mm.
2007, 2008.
Mm.
When that stopped, of course, the the MPs decided that, so they didn't need to fiddle their expenses anymore. That all get a huge pay rise, and they all gave themselves a huge pay rise.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've still not finished. 2024 now, the Conservative Party are being rumbled because um, their contributors
Mm.
are being offered these peerages, pay to play, I suppose. So it
Yeah.
just shows you, it isn't an exclusive. It's exclusive to politics, but it's not exclusive to one party.
No, I mean,
That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't,
yeah,
I don't, I don't. I'm not lefty or righty. You
no,
know,
no, you're right.
I'm, I'm
It's
not. I'm, I'm, I'm just. If you're a politician and you're a good one, I'll praise you. If you're not a very good one, then I'll just tell the truth about it.
okay,
That's how that's how I'll say what I think. You know,
right, okay.
if we get wiped off of YouTube for this one, you know, I
I'm
don't
just
know
more
what.
worried about being permanently wiped off at this particular moment.
No, 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 no. I've not said
No,
anything that isn't public
no, no,
knowledge.
no, no, I know. Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I keep referring to it. There was a series, a TV series years ago called Yes Minister on British
Yeah,
television, a comedy series. Look at the clips
yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube. Um, could have from about 30, 40 years ago, could have been relevant. If you made it yesterday, it'd still be relevant
It's just,
today.
of course.
Yeah. Nature doesn't change. You could probably set it in Roman times in reality or Greek. Yeah, okay. Okay. But
As I said to Kevin, old habits die hard.
yeah,
He said you're going back a long way. I said, well, old habits die hard.
yeah. I mean, this whole notion of yeah, they had bankers there who were supporting the government policy, not necessarily because it's good policy, but because of the promise of a gong, as we'd say, or a knighthood, or kick somewhere nice, yeah, because that kind of helped them after their retirement to actually get a was it
Of
a
course.
non-executive job, yeah, with
There you
expenses
are.
and
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, trout. Yeah, and a politician does so. I mean, yeah, human nature is human nature. I mean, the frightening thing is, Steve, okay, if we're in a situation, how will we react? I don't know. I'd like to think I would be noble and honest and decent enough not to be self-serving, self-interested. Um,
Well,
I'm just but a humble teacher living in Brazil, like yourself, or just humbly doing things.
they could only take a page out of Whittington's book.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we've just done a previous podcast, and I'll
Yeah,
put
I
I'll put
know,
the
I
link.
know.
I'll put the link on the end of this video for that. Um, yeah. Now, yeah, as regards to this thing about the scandal, the flipping, it was known as flipping, or the things that my local politician was up to as well. He apologised profusely, said he didn't quite realise
Oh,
it.
that's all right then. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Not cost anything, does it? Sound sorry.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's custom and practice, and it's all for the nod, and we know that that happens. Unfortunately, again, that's all part of it. Oh, I can get away with this, I can get away with that. Who wouldn't subscribe to that system? If they tried to buck it, politicians that did try and question it were apparently ostracised for it. You ruin it for the rest of us, sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
say they're all around the same trough.
yeah. Um, Now, I considered this at the time when I was hearing all this. Now, there's a lot of former military bases around London that are no longer used by the military. Okay. Um, but, let's think about it. What does a politician need if they're serving their country, sitting in Westminster? Yeah. They just need a single room, a bedside table, a single bed. Yeah. Well, okay, a slightly larger single bed, but a single bed because then, they're going to be by themselves most of the time. Um, and nice furnishing, a desk in the corner, your average sort of
Unless, of course,
medium.
you're Boris Johnson.
Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna go there. I'm just
No, no.
suggesting. This is a suggestion here. Yeah, I know where this is going. Yeah, yeah, a desk, a lamp, some writing paper, as you say, lavender or otherwise, lavender paper or otherwise, depending on your preferences, and
Yeah.
maybe a mirror. Because you need to look good. That wouldn't be ideal for Boris Johnson. Well, I know things about him. about his hair. It's an image.
It needs,
And
that
yeah,
needs
and
his help. Yeah,
yeah,
but
obviously an ensuite bathroom. We could have an ensuite bathroom, or they could have shared it. I don't know. We could discuss
digs.
that.
In the old days, they were called digs.
Yeah, digs, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all they need, isn't it? And then you could have on these sites, they'd have former meeting rooms. Yeah, the officers' meeting rooms, a message could be a meeting room. If you need a meeting room, it wouldn't be a great stretch to convert one of these former bases into politicians' accommodation. Do you agree with me, Steve? Are you going with me on this? Can you see the sense of what I'm saying? Then it's all everything is accosted for, accounted for. You can see the costs. They can have on site food there. Okay, it won't be the baked beans and mash. Yeah,
If the barracks are good enough for the fighting men and women of the UK, I don't see why a politician can rub shoulders with the illegal immigrants and stay in the barracks. Why not?
I just wonder how quickly the policy would change on that. Then how quickly. Sorry. uh, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this thing. Yeah, it's thinking. Yeah, they want to talk about austerity and we're all in it together. Practice what you preach.
Yep.
And I'm all for this. Yeah, I thought about this at the time. What does a politician really need? We give them all the thing they need to do their job. Most businessmen be more than happy with that. That's all I ever lived with when I was contracting, just that simple type of thing. Yeah. And I went and did my job during the day. Safety critical job, I may add. So I had to have a good night's sleep. So, I think I've just solved the problem there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because they say that politics is show business for ugly people, that
Mm.
won't be able to make their way in life otherwise.
Yeah.
Uh, and the thing is that it's never enough. It's never
Yeah.
enough. There's
Well,
always more. When you
yeah.
when you're dealing with billions and billions and trillions of pounds,
Mm.
when you're dealing with a project, a government project that's worth, like HS2, right?
Yeah.
The billions
Oh,
and
yeah.
billions of pounds involved in that. If you're one of the people that are signing the crossing the T's and dotting the I's and signing at the
Mm.
bottom,
Yeah.
you can think, well, a million for me is not it's not that much when you take it out, in the great scheme of things.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is why you've got an awful lot of money going to consultants and where politicians would be given a job
yeah.
when they retire, working for a consultancy firm
Yeah.
that
I have
probably
worked.
was made millions
Yeah.
from a project.
I have actually
I
worked in I have actually worked in consultancy. I'm staying quiet after this point, but yeah, I didn't really see
no,
anything, to be quite honest. Um, yeah, I just went in, got with my job, just focused on the engineering, delivering what I had to happen, and anything that happened around me, I ignored.
yeah,
the three wise monkeys, as it were. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe I'm subscribing to the same system as these people are. Sad fact. Yeah, I do know somebody years ago who worked in a private company. The guy's dead now, and I'm not going to reveal his name. But yeah, he said he one day he was he just happened to be in the pay office or the expenses office, the finance office, and he said he used to be very honest with his expenses claims. Yeah, almost. And he said when he went and worked at this place and saw somebody going about, he said after that point, no, that was it. When he saw what other people were doing, yeah, yeah, it's self-perpetuating. Yeah, why should you be the good guy? Yeah, how are you going to beat the system? You're not going to, or if you can't beat the system, you become part of it, unfortunately, and that's what does happen. Why shouldn't I have a part of this gravy, some of this gravy? That's hence the gravy train. Yeah. We all know about.
that's where the phrase says, "Dip your bread,
Yeah, that's
dip your
it.
bread." That's where that comes from. Dip your bread in the
Yeah,
gravy.
exactly. I mean, how do you fight it? I mean, listen to what you say. I mean, yeah, it's all in public domain. We know it. We write comedies about it. The unfortunate things. What do we do as ordinary people? We let it continue. We still vote for these people all the time. A politician, let's be honest, we know one politician who stood up against it in the European Union and they tried to accuse him of all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know,
And
I know.
so ultimately, this is human nature. As you said, it's been going on for years. I mean, let's be honest, for years we've had uni party, they all look after each other.
Right. Even
We-
even the even the platforms for this year or early next year are almost identical.
Oh, yeah.
All of the pledges that were
Mm, of
made by the left this year have all been U-turned on
course.
because all the promises that they just rode them
Yeah.
back, and basically it's going to be the same thing, only
Yeah.
just different, just different people. It's like a revolving door,
I mean,
or it's my turn to go be on the merry-go-round
yeah,
this year.
again, this I heard, yeah, I did hear a conservative politician say, well, if you vote for an alternative, okay, let's name it reform, you're voting for Labour. So we're now admitting that we don't even have democracy in existence in the UK. So
Yeah.
if you don't vote for Labour, you're voting for Conservative. If you don't vote for Conservative, you're voting for Labour. We don't have a democracy. We can't have an alternative. We can't clean the system, as it were. We're stuck with the
But
same leaders.
the
Let's put
UK
it
is
this.
not the UK is not a democracy.
Well, yeah, I know it's a British democracy, as Yes Minister said. Yeah, if the
It's
people, yeah,
it's a parliamentary system, not a
yeah,
democratic system. But
yeah. If the right people don't have the power, who does have the power? Yeah, as it is. Yeah, yeah.
it's that greasy pole that they're all trying to shin up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. My wife has told me because she hears me sometimes. I said, yeah, don't get involved in politics. You're too honest. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if that's a yeah, yeah, and it's absolutely true. I think it's what was it they've always said about or I've heard it said about politicians, even the good ones. They start with the banana syndrome. They start off green and straight, and end up bent and yellow. And
that's a good one.
yeah, I heard that 40 years, 30 years ago. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, yeah, I've heard people. I mean, yeah, I know somebody that was standing to be a politician. To be very honest, so I heard somebody say that about him straight to his face. Yeah, you're going to be like them all, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to go in there, all the good intentions. Yeah, you're going to come out. You're going to come out the other end, bent and crooked. Yeah, yeah. Um, it's a sausage factory. Everybody ends up the same. They end up all looking the same. As you said, they all end up looking ugly and grotesque with the same haircuts. Yeah, yeah,
With the
yeah.
same voice.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Boris Johnson, and yeah, just I heard an anecdote about him. Apparently, a driver said that one day, yeah, his perfectly hair and everything else in place. He's getting to where he's going to be doing a speak, and he deliberately messes up his hair because that's his image. As you said, it's show business. That's what
The
it is.
Ken Dodd, it's the Ken Dodd of politics.
Yeah. I mean, he's not an
Ken Dodd used
unintelligent guy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, that's a showing. Yeah, Ken Dodd. But yeah, I think it's H.G. Wells, who was a politician, famous old British author, wrote War of the
yeah,
Worlds and The Invisible Man. Talk about politicians going missing. The
yeah.
Invisible Man. And he was a politician once, and he admitted, we're actors. You stand up and you fight against the opposition. Yeah. Um, and then and I think even Jeffrey Archer was writing. If you've ever read any Jeffrey Archer novels, read them. Actually, I do recommend them. Okay, we can knock Jeffrey Archer. You read his novels, and it is exactly what's happening now that we're knowing more and more about. He was quite an honest author. I don't know what happened to him in his life that he ended up in all sorts of trouble. Um, yeah, I always quite liked the guy when he was speaking. Then I realised he was a bit too perfect.